Framed by the Law, The Spy Who Fought Back. It all started like any other Thursday evening. I'd just wrapped up a long day, grabbed a coffee from the corner shop, and was driving down Jefferson Boulevard. A quiet stretch of road I'd traveled 100 times before. My thoughts were on dinner, maybe a phone call to my sister, and whether I had enough time to catch the new episode of that spy thriller I liked. Funny, really, because what happened next felt like a scene straight out of one of those shows. Only this wasn't fiction. This was my life, and it was about to go off the rails. Out of nowhere, I noticed flashing lights in my rearview mirror. Red and blue. Police. My heart skipped. Not because I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't speeding. I hadn't missed a light. But because I knew something was off the moment I saw how slowly they walked up to my window. Calm, calculating, almost rehearsed. The officer on the driver's side tapped the glass, asked for my license and registration. I handed it over, still unsure what the issue was. He said there'd been a tip, anonymous, of course, about suspicious activity involving a vehicle matching mine. I laughed nervously, assuming it was a mistake. But he didn't smile. The other officer, already circling my car like a shark, suddenly shouted, "Got something here!" Within seconds, he held up a small bag of white powder and declared I was under arrest. I was frozen, speechless. It was planted. I knew it. They knew it. But none of that mattered. Not in that moment. They cuffed me, read me my rights, and threw me into the back of their squad car like I was some common criminal. But here's the thing they didn't know. I'm not who I appear to be. The name on my license, the job I claim to have, even my residence, all part of a carefully constructed alias. I'm an undercover CIA operative. My work requires a level of secrecy most people couldn't imagine. I've trained with special forces, I've embedded with foreign governments, and I've taken down international threats. But none of that compared to the danger I felt sitting in the back of that cruiser. Not because I feared prison, but because I realized I had just stumbled upon corruption inside the very system I was sworn to protect. At the station, they booked me with a smugness that made my skin crawl. These weren't rookie cops making a mistake. They were predators, professionals at abusing the system. And I was just another notch in their belt. Or so they thought. I remained silent through the entire process. I didn't resist, didn't argue. I observed. I memorized their movements, their body language, the timestamps on every document and interaction. I wasn't scared. I was focused. That night, I didn't call a lawyer. I made one call to a secure agency line that triggered a cascade of actions within the CIA. Within hours, federal agents were alerted. My handler was looped in. By morning, a team of covert legal operatives was en route. The local precinct had no idea they were sitting on a powder keg. When I appeared in court the next day, I was dressed in standard orange, but my mind was sharp. The courtroom was packed. The prosecution came in confident. Their opening statement painted me as a textbook example of a small-time dealer with a hidden past. They waved the bag of powder like it was a trophy. Then came the defense. My lawyer, a man who's represented spies, whistleblowers, and double agents, approached the bench with a briefcase full of evidence that made the room go quiet. Surveillance footage from multiple locations showed the officers meeting at a diner the day before my arrest. Audio clips from bugs we'd planted months earlier during a separate investigation into corrupt law enforcement. You see, the agency had already been looking into this precinct for suspicious patterns. My arrest was the opportunity we didn't know we needed. My case became the tipping point. One by one, the inconsistencies began to pile up. Why did their body cams malfunction only during my arrest. Why was there no forensic evidence tying me to the substance? Why did the supposed tip come from a disconnected phone number linked to one of the officer's cousins? The prosecution grew pale. The judge raised an eyebrow. The officers started sweating. Then it was my turn to take the stand. I stood there, still in my orange jumpsuit, and gave the court my real name, my real title. I watched as jaws dropped when I revealed my credentials. Top secret clearance, multiple international assignments, letters of commendation from senior intelligence officials. I explained why I couldn't reveal my identity sooner. Operational security, active missions, safety protocols. Then I told them why I was here. The entire courtroom was silent as I explained how their so-called arrest was part of a larger pattern and how they had walked right into a federal investigation. By the end of that day, the judge dismissed all charges against me. The two officers? They were arrested in the same courtroom they thought they owned. The roles had reversed. I was no longer the defendant. I was the witness. In the weeks that followed, the story hit national news. Media outlets spun it as the spy who brought down the cops. Some painted me as a hero. Others questioned how deep the rot went. The precinct was shut down. More arrests followed. Internal investigations spread to other departments. What started as a bogus traffic stop ended in a reckoning. But I don't tell this story for glory. I don't tell it for revenge. I tell it because people need to understand that corruption doesn't always wear a villain's mask. Sometimes it wears a badge. Sometimes it smiles when it cuffs you. And sometimes, if you're lucky or trained, you get the chance to fight back. I'm still working, still undercover. But that day changed me. It reminded me that the real battlefield isn't always overseas. Sometimes it's right here, in courtrooms, in jails, on quiet city streets. And you never know when you'll be called to act. Not just as a spy, but as a citizen, as a human being. Because justice, real justice, it's not just served. It's taken back, inch by inch, truth by truth, until the system is forced to look itself in the mirror. And finally, see who it's become. If you enjoyed this story and want more real-life twists and powerful narratives, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Your support helps us bring more untold stories to light.